So today I'm joined by my favorite Mike as usual. I'm with Mike Young from planbgames. Hi Mike, how's it going?
Mike, how are you?
I'm doing very well. So it's unfortunate that we aren't meeting at Gen Con as we normally would.
No, I know this. It's. I mean, I understand that there's a social contract here. We all got to chip in and do our part, which means sacrificing time with friends that we don't get to see very frequently. So I am just as disappointed, but
Yeah,
it's for the common good.
exactly. And we still found our way to get our yearly picture in, so I'm super excited that we made that happen.
Well, it's all through your ingenuity and photography skills.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, despite, everyone staying home and, there's no convention season this year, I know you and the rest of the team at Plan B have been hard at work. So, I wanted to
Yeah.
touch base and see if we can just, talk about what you've been up to recently.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, COVID's really impacted production timelines, especially at the manufacturing level. But like, the team took several weeks off to quarantine, and obviously, the challenge with that is that we can't collaborate and interact in those physical spaces. It's sometimes like creativity sometimes stems best from. But
Mm,
that being said, we had every intention of putting out bees around Origins this year, but we took the time and wanted to recalibrate, so to speak, the physical components
right.
and actually improve, the tactile experience. Again, the gameplay hasn't changed, but we wanted to get just a couple pieces, just get the right weight and right feel because it's really important for like the next move brand to have that tactile element. I mean, like Azul's really there's that really good feel, and same with Tukey and Reef. So same thing in line here, but yeah, I mean, obviously everything's been impacted, but the good news is it's a good time to be a gamer because I think what I like about this is that Gen Con, for example, and Origins and Essence, it seems like they're like 3 release days a year,
Right.
and it's all hotness on these 3 days. Well, because of this, everyone's production timeline's been impacted, so we're getting more games spread out, or the same games spread out, so that things, smaller games, or maybe games that wouldn't be as popular or would be put in the shadows, are going to get a little bit more time in that limelight. So I think that's the positive of this.
Right.
If you got a good game group at home or a small social bubble that you can game in, I think that's the big benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely been big changes and pushbacks on the releases, like you said. And I know you guys have a lot of games, in the pipeline getting ready to be released. And I'd love to, maybe we can talk about each one and we can see what our status is on these games.
Yeah, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure. Uh,
So I mean, let's start with, I think everyone's always excited to talk about the golems, right? So we've got Sentry Golem and Endless World.
Right. Obviously, I think that's probably going to be the big one. I think of the year is that Century in Endless World. We just announced it a couple weeks ago, and you're going to see that it's going to retail this year. We're looking probably like October or November is when it's
Mm,
going to hit retailers. But in the past, like we typically have kept those games and made them exclusive to shows and to our web shop. Knowing that retailers are out there kind of struggling a little bit, like let's give an incentive to encourage people to support their local shops. So
right.
we're bringing it straight to retail. But yeah, you're going to see that by the end of the year. What I really like about this is that Chris, who's our artist, went to town on this and created, I want to say like 10 or 12 unique golems for this.
Hmm.
Maybe a few more than that, but you have a ton of new original golems, golems that you haven't seen before, like more primordial states,
Hmm.
like rock golems and water golems and stuff like that. It's more stuff attuned to the elements.
Right.
So really, really exciting finish. And
Hmm.
the Century games have always been really fun and really smooth. This is no exception.
Right. So, with the trilogy coming together, are we going to see more of the golems, or is this it for now?
Well, so I kind of tease this a little bit,
Hmm.
but I think we're going to see maybe one more Golem announcement, maybe sometime later this summer, maybe early fall.
That's exciting. I'm looking forward to it then. So
My lips are
yeah,
sealed for the time being. So just I would say stay tuned.
fair enough, definitely. So we also have Reef Second Edition. So I know this was teased a little bit little earlier in the year, and just wanted to check in and see what the status of that was.
So this one's in production. It should be. I need to double check the timeline, but I think it's supposed to be delivered pretty soon. But yeah, we just like you've seen in some of the promotional images there. What we just kind of wanted to do is just go back to the components. We didn't change anything with the gameplay. We didn't change anything in terms of component quality, but change the color palette on the pieces, maybe for a slightly more immersive effect, and also redid the player boards just because. Uh, our artist Chris wasn't quite happy with the first one. After playing it a couple times, he thought he could just give it another crack, and we had time in the production schedule, so we said go for it. So
Right.
you're not going to see anything different. I've had a lot of people ask, like, are we putting the mini expansion in there? Nope. You'll be able to get that on the web shop. All we're doing here is just changing the color palette and other components and the new player board.
Right. Um, just within that next move, Games Family Line. Well, we've talked about bees already. So the
Yep.
next one is, I want to talk about Azul. I mean, you had the Crystal Mosaic expansion earlier this year, and then there was also the 5211 Azul theme. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Are we seeing anything else coming from the Azul sort of brand or?
Here's the thing. Like, whenever it comes to anything Azul, if Mr. Kiesling's got a great idea, we're not going to turn it down.
Hmm.
But presently, I can tell you, there's no plans for an Azul title, like an original Azul title, for the rest of this year. But
Hmm.
we're not going to. Like I said, we're not going to refuse Mr. Kiesling if he comes with a really great design, because I think the Azul, the simplicity of that draft is what makes Azul Azul is just resonated with a lot of people. It's very simple and elegant. So if he were to bring us another design that we can integrate with the Azul line, uh, we would probably be very interested. And obviously, it's critical in commercial success. So I would say keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I don't want to say it's not happening, because it's really on Mr. Kiesling to deliver that. And if he's interested, we probably would be too.
So we should reach out to him if we want more Azul right now.
Yeah, don't harass me. No, no, Michael's an extremely nice guy. He's a really wonderful designer and been a genuine pleasure to work with. But he's been plenty busy. Him and Wolfgang Kramer have been, like, just brewing up all kinds of good stuff together. So
Hmm.
I imagine if there's something in his brain, we'll probably see it, hopefully in the near future, and that means it might get to your table sooner, but one step at a time.
Definitely.
It's got
Um,
to be good before us to print it, so to speak.
exactly, exactly. Switching over, I guess, to the Eggerspiel, line of games. I mean, we have Alma Mater, which released recently, or it's
I
soon to release.
Well, so alma mater, depending on the date of this publication, I think it's due out the last week of August in the U.S., and
Hmm.
I need to double check for the rest of the world, but I think it's going to be around the same time frame as late August, early September. But alma mater is so good. I mean, if the Italian troupe that works on these games, they're so talented. Virginio Gili, Flaminia Brasini. I mean, they've done some of my personal favorites. Like, I love Lorenzo Magnifico. I love Coimbra. I love Agizia, and uh, who they playtest with and designs they come up with are just so tight. And this is no exception. Don't take my word for it. There's a lot of reviews out there already. I want to say Man versus Meeple. I'm sorry. Rado, Dice Tower, several others, and there's more coming. So I would say, put your ear to the ground. If you haven't, consider this. Yeah, take a look at it. It's so. I mean, the art's amazing. Chris has
Hmm.
made it a spiritual successor to Coimbra. I mean, it uses that flat paper art that just
Yeah.
it seems very evocative of the time frame, and just I don't know. I'm obviously biased, but it's one of my favorite games of the year so far. And
Hmm.
then, mind you, I've only played a handful compared to what I normally would do,
Right.
but it's good. It's really worth your attention. So take a look at the reviews. Don't see if your favorite reviewer likes it and what they're talking about it.
Right. and I'm really loving those book meeples. They're so cute and
Yeah,
adorable.
this was a complete surprise to me. I thought these were going to be tokens when we originally got the print and play files, and I mean, each one of the team makes up a few copies, and I thought that okay, they're not going to do anything with this, but they surprised me when we had our production copy come in that they're like nice little resin chunky bits, and the player boards are double side, or I should say recessed, so that you can put tiles in them. So really not. I mean, like these are like deluxe features that I'm not used to out of retail games.
Right.
So it was really cool to see that with our own designs because they just added a little extra element, a little extra fun factor and a little extra toy and production factor. That just kind of helps me justify the cost because I mean, I think it's like most staggered spiels. I want to say it's 79 US for
Hmm.
retail, but I mean, you're getting your values worth in the box just on the gameplay alone, and then the production value just kind of help justify it in my mind.
Right. Definitely. Um, Another great game from the Eggerspiel line was Era, and we've got an expansion coming this year, correct?
Yes. So Matt, uh, who is just again another fantastic designer, um, has been happily working on the second era because it's going to be another standalone game. But in the meantime, put out gave us really good ideas for an expansion, Rivers and Roads, which
Hmm.
is really cool because it gives you I think another 10 buildings to incorporate roads and rivers that help you connect to different parts of the city and helps you score points. There's new disasters, so it's one of those expansions that I say it's more of the same. A lot
Hmm.
of new unique elements, but if you like the era, this is just doubling down on all that kind of fun
Hmm.
and just giving you more buildings and more things to strategize around. Plus, we're bringing out not one, not two, not three, but four collector um, bonus sets. Like the first one had two.
Hmm.
We're gonna have four more collector buildings,
Right.
little mini expansions that add even more variety into the
Hmm.
game. So um, again, production value is like through the roof on this thing. I've never been a miniatures player.
Right.
You can't get me to play. I don't know. Uh, what's that Simon game? Literally any of them, I should say. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. But when I saw this, I was just they just our sculpture just blows me out of the water because it's if you haven't seen it, check it. Look, it is really really nice.
Hmm.
And I mean the base game gives you over 100 unique or 100 buildings in there, and I think the expansion is going to give you another 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So lots of chunky bits in there to make your beautiful towns.
Well, it's always nice to, take a picture at the end of the game, right? Once you've built your magnificent city
Yeah,
or
I
your
I, I
awful city.
I mean, I do think that our games are very photogenic
Hmm.
because Chris's art is fantastic and his understanding of color palettes and stuff like that is great. But like this one is one where like it looks so cool when you're finished, and I think everyone's strategy on that game is so unique and so different compared to others, so that it's hard to get an exact same town that looks just like
Right.
someone else's. It's not going to happen on the table, but I don't know if it's the likelihood of it's going to happen across the web if people look at their own and compare it to
Hmm.
those. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the toy factor, so to speak, is there, and
Hmm.
it looks so impressive when you're finished.
Hmm. So when is the rough sort of release date for the Era expansion?
Uh, so I want to say that this one's been postponed till probably October or November as well. We were originally planning on bringing it out around Gen Con, but I think this one got pushed just because of I want to say that the plastics being used in order to maintain a safety and a high level of integrity with the process. There's just built-in delays to ensure that there's no risk involved with
Right.
any of that stuff. So
Hmm.
I think this just kind of bumped our production a little bit further down the road. So it's going to be this year. I just think we're looking at I think we're looking at October and November.
Okay. And then we've got pretzel games, last but not least. So how are things going with pretzel games, and what do we have upcoming?
I mean, there's I will tease this. There's some exciting news with Pretzel Games. We won't see. I don't think you're not going to see another dexterity game this year. But I would say keep your eyes, and your ears peeled to some announcements that are going to come from Pretzel, because we're all big fans of it. In fact, I mean, this was Sophie and Martin's passion project. They love dexterity games. They love this brand, and having really quality time with your family and friends playing these games. Uh, there's something fun coming. So keep your eyes peeled. I will. I'm going to tease it, and I hate to do that, but keep your eyes peeled. We will definitely be making some noise soon with this.
Awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that then. Um,
You played Men at Work, right? I'm assuming you played Men at Work and Junk
mhm,
Card, right?
mhm.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So otherwise, your gamer badge would be revoked.
Yikes.
But no, we have a really solid line there, and there's some very exciting titles coming down the pipeline.
That sounds good. I mean, I'm hoping, maybe down in the future we'll see giant junk art. I'm just shooting in the dark here, seeing.
You I've been trying to convince them to do this. I have a copy. I promised it to send. I told him the only deal is I'm not going to ship this to Canada. Like, it's going to cost me way too much. So he's got to come to the U.S. This was last summer. Come to the U.S. Come to Dice Tower or Gen Con. I will hand them off to you there, and you can have like one of three copies in the world. I feel guilty that I have it and you don't. So so who knows? Obviously that's not happening this year, but maybe next year. But until then, it's a mainstay at the small gatherings that we occasionally have with some family and stuff like that. It's an easy reach for game.
Definitely. Sen better come visit you soon then.
Yeah, you're gonna have to isolate for a week or two, and
Yep.
that's assuming that they'll even let you back in Canada. But you're always welcome. Maybe when all this clears up, you guys can take a
hmm
trip to Disney and stop by on the way.
That's definitely part of the plan.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, have I missed out on any games or any announcements that you wanted to talk about?
No, I really think that's covered a lot of this. I mean, there's so many good things, and
Mhm.
and here's what I would say is that shameless plug time for retailers is that there's a lot of retailers. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are retail owners. They're struggling. So if any of our games sound interesting to you, you know, definitely support your local shop. I mean, maybe your FLGS is an OLGS. Put your pre-orders in, because some of these places could certainly use your business. And I know it sounds very weird, but I genuinely believe that the way this hobby grows is evangelism and having those local game stores. Targets are great, Barnes and Nobles are great, but there's so much to be said about that local game shop or your local game cafe. Hit them up. Make sure that you're supporting them as much as you can. They could use it in this time. And we're not stopping. I mean, we've got a product slate for the next 3 years already
Mhm.
built in. We are very excited about what's coming up. Gamers should be very excited because there's a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline. I can't share them yet, but you're gonna like them. I promise you, you're gonna like them. So just stay tuned. We have some fun stuff, and yeah, I'm excited about the next couple of years of titles that we have coming out.
No, definitely. It's going to be exciting to see what comes down, and definitely we need to be supporting our local stores where and whenever we can.
Sure, I'm not saying break the bank, but like, gosh, a $20 gift card, that small influx of cash could really carry them. Or I'm gonna pre-order a game. I mean, I got a family too, but I'm always looking for the bargains. I'm gonna spend an extra $10 knowing that it's helping support someone else in my community. A gamer in my community, and knowing that store is going to probably help introduce the next generation of gamers. So I'll get off my soapbox. You do you, but definitely help out and support. There's plenty of great games coming out down the pipeline, so plenty out there to pick up, and plenty of interest that are going to be captivated.
Exactly. Well, Mike, thank you so much for, taking the time to chat with me about Plan B and the umbrella and what else is going to be coming down in the future. This was fantastic.
I appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Awesome. Well, everyone else who's watching, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can definitely leave them in the comment section. Mike, if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in contact?
I am very active on the socials. I mean, you can hit me up. Like, you can probably find me on a lot of different Facebook things. Really don't do Twitter too much, only just because there's only so much time in my day. But I am on pretty frequent on BGG. I'm very frequent on Reddit. But if you want to drop me an email, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. Something really pertinent, urgent. You have a customer service issue. You want to tell us how great our games are? That's fine. Mike at planbgames.com is the easiest email address to find me at. But otherwise, you can just hit me up or tag me in a group, and I could probably find the message.
Perfect. I mean, I'll leave all that information below. And thank you so much for watching. And Mike, thank you so much for joining me. I hope we can chat again soon.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
take care.
You too.